Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's an example yesterday I saw of this woman who's been here. We might even play this clip. She's been here 20 years. She has 3 kids who were born here. Her kids are because of birthright citizenship, which is another subject that's coming up. And she's never bothered to even try to resolve her immigration status. Not in 20 years. She has never tried to resolve her immigration status. Not through Republican presidents, not through Democratic presidents, nothing. And so now, she's worried about being deported because they put out the sob story of this woman. Well, that's not the average person they're even looking at right now. The average person they're looking at crossed in the last 3 years are CNN is cutting jobs to embrace the digital future. No, because they're cutting jobs because, as I like to say, they suck. CNN is undergoing a significant restructuring, planning to lay off about 200 employees, which constitutes approximately 6% of its workforce. This move is part of a broader strategy under CEO Mark Thompson to pivot towards a digital-first approach, focusing on expanding digital subscriptions and reducing costs from traditional TV operations. Wait a minute. Didn't they already try the CNN subscription service, which failed miserably? Which, if you truly have compassion for trans kids, you would allow them to all go through puberty, because 90% of kids who think they're trans change their mind once they go through puberty. That puberty is the fix for most of the problems. But you guys want the medicalization of kids and sterilization of kids and medical and surgical altering of kids who can't make that decision at 12 years old or 13 years old. Diablo asks, why is it when I try to show empathy and concern, people always misconstrue it? Last time I asked someone if their mom at least got a good check from the clinic that botched the abortion. Oh! Oh, God. Damn it, AD. I think you just need to find a gentle way.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
I would be willing to bet everything I own that submitting a 22-minute video montage that shows the most egregious acts of violence you can find from that day, when the defendant in question is on that video for only 6 seconds and the scene walking calmly, is highly prejudicial and a violation of the defendant's due process rights. The person was found guilty and sentenced to 19 months in prison. Now, it took 2 hours to read through all of the documents that were in the case file. Every motion submitted by the defendant was denied. Every motion by the defendant was denied. How often does that happen? And every motion submitted by the government was granted. They turned a trespass misdemeanor that would have resulted in a $50 ticket into 5 misdemeanors and a felony charge by charging the defendant with a statute that would have required the Secret Service to rope off the section he was in, which they did not. They also charged him with a statute that would have been required them to prove Mike Pence was in the building at the time he walked through that corridor. He was not. And they used an Enron statute that the Supreme Court struck down. If you accept a pardon, you are admitting guilt. Period. That's the, because you can't be pardoned if you're not guilty.
Whether he can preemptive part, whether he can issue President's reportedly asking his staff whether he can issue preemptive pardons for himself, his family members, Rudy Giuliani. There's a simple answer: no. No, Mr.
Oh,
that
you
would be a
can't?
gross abuse
Oh,
of the presidential
it's a
pardon authority.
gross abuse of presidential pardon authority. Well, there you go. You accepted a pardon, Adam Kinzinger. You think you may have committed a crime. Oh, here, Jamie Raskin. Dirty Q-tip. Dirty Q-tip, Jamie Raskin. What else? What did he have to say?
Well, the seeking of pardons is
Yes, it's only on
powerful
one side.
demonstration of the consciousness of guilt. Or at least the consciousness that you may be in trouble.
Jamie
And that's
Raskin.
what's so shocking
Did he get a
about
pardon
this.
also? Wasn't he on
Well,
that committee?
The seeking of pardons is.
He was on that committee. I'm curious if you're going to condemn that part. You're going to condemn that pardon.
You know, Joe Biden pardoned a lot of people. Yeah, he should answer for that and explain.
Lots of murderers, lots of drug dealers, lots of people who killed people, commuted the sentence of a couple murderers. One who, in fact, one drug dealer who people died from taking the drugs that they sold them.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
The Obama Aniston rumors have gone wild. Rumors have emerged on social media that suggest Barack and Michelle Obama might be heading towards divorce, with speculators linking Barack Obama to actress Jennifer Aniston. Those rumors have gained traction following Michelle Obama's absence from Jimmy Carter's funeral and the inauguration, and are based on tabloid stories and social media speculation without solid confirmation from the individuals involved. So far, they're still rumors, and I don't know why people are perpetuating them, but it is kind of fun to perpetuate rumors like that. No one's come out to, out and out deny anything. That's the weird part.
We should just take a deep breath and acknowledge the audacity.
The audacity!
Of a president who's so clearly concerned about his own criminal culpability.
Oh my God, his own criminal culpability and his son's business dealings. I know that they're talking about Joe Biden, aren't they?
And that of his family members.
Like the boy asked, are cats really soul suckers? Yes. Yes. That's why I'm not into cats. Dogs, man. I'm a dog guy. Avocado Diablo, is there an aisle in the grocery store that is less objectionable to have sex in? Where do you come up with this shit? Dude.
Has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician has risen.
Yes.
Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, a dead.
And I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding Donald Trump's demise that has failed. I wonder how many people at Davos, again, let me say it again. I wonder how many people at Davos have been funding what they had hoped would be Trump's demise. I bet you there's a few of them there. And it didn't work, did it now? Didn't work now, did it?
Politically known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
End of the show, every day on my show, if I put something on the screen or I'm talking about it, or it's a topic or an article that I'm presenting in this show, I provide links to every single thing that I've talked about, and even more, the ones I didn't even get to. I drop them in the chat at the end of the show, and also I drop them in the description. So if you want to find these articles, they will be in the links at the end of the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only PDawgKnight.
Yeah. Anyway. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. Happy Monday, the 14th of July, 2025. And I gotta be honest. I'm just frustrated. Yes, it did just start. Ercole Di Stefano? Yes, it did just start. I'm just frustrated. This whole YouTube thing. And maybe I should go back to putting shows on Rumble or something. But it's like notifications don't go out. And I'm just stifled as far as being able to grow this show. I don't know, I watch people on the internet who do this as long as I've done, that say nothing, that don't do anything, that don't talk about stuff, and they still have, a larger distribution. And I was looking at numbers the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, that could be a problem. That could be part of the problem. But anyway, hi, I'm not going to, it's not a good time to get into it. Anyway, good morning. I hope you are having a wonderful morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Mine was chilling at a friend's cabin, and it was great. In fact, we went to Duluth, Minnesota too. So the cabin's up in northern Wisconsin. I said it just like a Wisconsin person in Wisconsin. And, but it's only like an hour from Duluth, Minnesota. And it was the Tall Ships Festival. They had this tall ship extravaganza up in Duluth, in the Duluth Harbor there on Lake Superior, and all these old tall ships, the big billowing sails and stuff, like Columbus ships. They're not huge, even though they're tall ships, they're not big ships, and that was really cool. Went up there and saw a bunch of really cool ships, saw some people diving off a platform into Lake Superior, which is insane because Lake Superior is ridiculously cold. And there was tons of people in Duluth. I didn't realize Duluth is kind of such a tourist attraction in the summer. I mean, there was people everywhere. We're down in the, there's an area, that's basically where they have this giant lift bridge where the big tanker ships and the big cargo ships come through into the little bay. And there were just people everywhere. I couldn't believe how packed it was. But anyway, it was cool. It was a lot of fun. So anyway, yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff going on in the news we'll talk about. I'm not going to spend as much time on trending stuff today as stuff that came up over the weekend. And we'll go from there. So before I do that, though, let's say hello to everybody. First in the chat today is Kara Soldier gets the bell. I think, is it AD? Are you just giving people a chance? What's up? I don't know. It's weird. Or maybe you got your notification late. But also, good morning, Resolute Germ. TC's in the house. Avocados Diablo is here. Also, good morning, Louie. I'll do that again. Louie. And also the Pope Tyrannus III, the blessed lich, with this message: blessed of the Most High dead be upon all his children. He crafted this day for us all, so make the most of it. That's a great message. Also, good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite making an appearance. Right. What's up, brother? and Ercole Di Stefano, yes, the show just started. JB's in the house. Renee Mayette, what up? Sound Humble Nation. I write your link on every bathroom stall I enter, P-Dawg. I don't know what else to do. Well, that's that's concerning. You still do graffiti on bathroom stalls? I stopped doing that in about 4th grade. I'm just sorry. I'm just playing. That's messed up. I shouldn't have said that. That I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to lose anybody I have. So anyway, I was preoccupied and not paying attention at the time. Oh, well, there you go. Gotcha. So there you go. That's it. That's today's intro. Not a whole lot to it. Also, make sure you follow me on Locals. Those notifications probably go out more reliably if I post them, of course, than the YouTube or the Well, X too. If you follow me on X, one of the two, I'm there on both. But again, X posts don't go out like right away either. That's kind of one of those things with X that they kind of try to balance out your distribution. I'm kind of annoyed. I just want people who follow me to get the shit I post. You know, that'd be helpful. But you know, whatever. Thanks to people though who have been posting the show. In fact, there's even more now. So we'll get to that in a second. Let me just repost a couple of these here before I. There we go, and there's one. I'm just reposting all the ones that are up here, and there we go. Okay, so let's start here. Somnambul Nation, of course, tweeting out the show as always. As did TC. Thank you very much. And then now this one, it's Monday, and this is from Somnambul Nation. And what does this say? Dolomite is my name, and effing up mother uffers is my game. A little Dolomite action. That's sweet. I love that. And another wrestler, Resolute Germ, thank you again. I don't know who that is. I don't know my wrestlers anymore. She looks kind of scary, though. She looks mean. She got that mean old look, got the hair all wild and shit. Damn, girl. Also, we got our Daily Samurai. You told me what it was, JB. What is it? Here, hang on a second. It's I posted Sanjuro as my gift today. That is Sanjuro. Looks like when he gets stabbed in the heart and he's bleeding. What is that? That's kind of gross, actually. That is clearly a wrestler named Crime Scene. I see what you're saying. Okay. With the caution tape. That's funny. Some funny shit. Thank you, Renee Mayette, for reposting the Let's Go also. And there's Renee Mayette dropping the link too. Thank you. And then all the people who retweeted, Ty Alexander, Mansquatch, JB, link in description, aka Somnambul Nation, and Resolute Germ. And then our daily woo from Ric Flair. And good morning, Rick Ashbringer. I see you there. So there you go. Thank you all the people who are trying to support this show and doing what you can to get this word out. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right. Today's holiday. I'm going to go with, we're going to go to France for a holiday today. Seeing as there's a lot of people talking about trying to do this in the United States. It's happy Bastille Day to our French counterparts. What do you want to call them? Our friends in France. Back in, what day? Was it 1789? Was that? Or something like that? What year was it? What was Bastille Day? Yeah, 1789 on this day in history. The revolutionaries in Paris stormed the Bastille, a royal fortress and prison seen as a symbol of tyranny, marking the start of the French Revolution. At dawn, crowds armed with makeshift weapons surrounded the Bastille. After hours of standoff, the fortress surrendered, its cannons and gunpowder seized, and 7 prisoners freed. So this is the day that the French Revolution began in 1789. Now, some of these posts regarding this, though, I'm like, okay, let's it's a sale day. It's a sale day. They have Bastille mattress sales. I'm sure they do. So lots of people posting Happy Bastille Day. Someone here is like, Happy Bastille to all our French friends. Happy Bastille. This is Eric Idle. Is this Eric Idle from Monty Python? Is this the actual Eric Idle? I guess so. He's like, Happy Bastille Day, maybe time for a revolution, America. Really, Eric? How about you just keep your shit to your mouth to yourself? Okay, we don't need that. We just need to keep having elections and start, whatever. Look, we're still a democracy. It's just you guys. Some of you guys are mad at what we voted for, but it's clearly a democracy. Or a representative republic, democratically elected representative republic. Hello, Special Can Acid on the honorable mention list of favorite Canadians, and Lord Stanhope have joined us. Thank you. But anyway, during the Bastille Day parade, apparently one of the horses got a little out of control, and another one fell. Unfortunately for that guy And one of the horses was just off by itself. I don't know what happened to him. So anyway, they had some problems during the Bastille Day Parade. It's a little slickery on the roads there. Part of it is, you got to, if you're going to do horses on pavement, there's some special shoes made better for pavement, but whatever. But there are a lot of people mentioning, oh my gosh, maybe we should do this in the United States. Here, happy Bastille Day to all my French friends abroad. We could learn a thing or two from your history and apply it today here in America. Kiss all of my ass. Sorry. Yeah, no. Not cool. And anyway, happy Bastille Day, France, whatever. Also today, celebrity birthdays. Now, the first one, the and only unelected United States president. And when I say unelected, not elected president, nor elected vice president, Gerald Ford's birthday is today. Happy birthday, Gerald Ford, born on July 14th, 1913. The 38th president would have been 112 today. Let's see, thought his vice president was Nelson Rockefeller. Anyway, so yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, and he was a football player at the University of Michigan. I guess he was a star football player back in the day. He was also part of the Warren Commission that investigated Kennedy's death, and some think that there are some shenanigans going on there. But it's an interesting part of history. His birth name was actually Leslie Lynch King Jr. He legally changed it after being adopted by Gerald Ford Sr. He was adopted. He's also from Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah. Gerald Ford home. I've been to the Gerald Ford home in Omaha. And he's the only vice president not elected to either position. So it's just an interesting piece of history. Also did that preemptive pardon for Richard Nixon that set a precedent for Joe Biden to pardon his entire family and a bunch of politicians. Although there's some news on that. We'll get to that in a minute. Good morning, Anon 1, 2, 3. And Evan S. and Anna Lynn. What's up? Good morning. So, also, now here's a couple other celebrity birthdays that I found interesting, though. Because usually I try to do one, but there's a couple. So there's a list from yesterday's celebrity birthdays. And this is it. And I noticed something on here that kind of surprised me. So Patrick Stewart, number one, his birthday was yesterday. And also Harrison Ford's birthday was yesterday. How many of you knew that Patrick Stewart and Harrison Ford are only 2 years apart in age? Does that seem weird to you? I guess it makes sense, but you think, because Harrison Ford's heyday, obviously he was a much younger man. So you think of him as a younger man when you think of the movies he's in as Han Solo or American Graffiti or, all those movies. But then you think Patrick Stewart, and he seems older, but there are 2 years difference in age. That's wild. Also some birthdays yesterday. Cheech Marin, Michael Spinks, Cameron Crowe. Cameron Crowe's 68 years old now? Okay, now I am old. Holy shit. And some other names I don't even know. But I just found that fascinating that Harrison Ford and Patrick Stewart are only 2 years difference between them. Star Wars was 40 years ago. TNG was 30 years ago. I know. That's right. So anyway. By the way, who is this? Lynch. Oh, yeah. What was his name? Wait a minute. What was his name? Gerald Ford's name before he changed it. Was it Lynch King? Yeah. It's thank you, Lynch King, aka Gerald Ford, dropping a small bullet in the tip jar, saying, "Can you blame me for changing my name? Absolutely not." Yeah. Yeah, I did not know that. Where did I see that? It said his name was Leslie Lynch King. Yeah. I probably changed my name too. Thank you, Gerald Ford, dropping some dollars in the tip jar. I appreciate it. All right. Oh, I didn't even have that on. I took it off the screen when I did that. There you go. There it is again. Leslie Lynch King. You don't want to be called the Lynch King. All right. What else do I have here? I did that. Okay. Some news. Let's do some news because there's some stuff going on. This happened in. This sucks. 2 dead, state trooper wounded after a traffic stop leads to a church shooting. That just like, what the bloody heck is going on? 2 people dead and a Kentucky state trooper injured after a traffic stop was followed by a church shooting in Lexington, Kentucky on Sunday. This is CNN reported that the trooper was shot near the Bluegrass Airport on Terminal Drive around 11:30, and thereafter the alleged gunman fled the scene and arrived at Richmond Road Baptist Church when another shooting occurred. 2 women, one age 32 and one age 72, were killed at the church. 2 men were also shot and transported to a hospital. What the hell is going on? Was it in Florida? It sounds like a Florida thing. No, this happened in Kentucky. The shooting suspect was shot dead by law enforcement at the church. The New York Times quoted Governor Andy Beshear commenting on the incident, saying he was aware of a series of incidents in Lexington around one suspect, including a trooper-involved shooting and an additional shooting at a Richmond church. Kentucky State Police confirmed that the deceased shooter has been identified, and they indicated the suspect may have had a connection with individuals at the church. So the trooper is in stable condition, but that's awful. That's what you hate to hear it. Also in the news, I'm just going down a little Breitbart ledger here. Job gains have gone to native-born Americans, and wage gains are outpacing inflation. How about that? That's good. That second part is especially good news. On Friday, Alex Marlowe Show, host and Breitbart editor-in-chief Alex Marlowe talked with Breitbart News economics editor John Carney about wage gains outpacing inflation. Well, look, I'm not going to read the interview. Just the headline alone is important, that wage gains are outpacing inflation. Why? Because inflation is down. Now, is that because of the Inflation Reduction Act? I don't know. Probably not. Here's the thing. I was talking about this yesterday with my lovely spouse and somebody else. Who else? I was talking to spouse. Anyway, the fact that gas prices right now, if you haven't noticed, are lower than they were probably a year ago. In fact, they're quite a bit lower. Yesterday, or before I filled up to leave for the cabin, I filled up my truck at $2.78 a gallon. Now, it's still not ideal. I would love to be down to 178 or even a 78, but whatever. A year ago, I was paying about $3.60 a gallon, so it's down significantly. And I always say that energy is the driver of all things that are price related, and that's probably why inflation in general is down, or at least that's the indicator. So yeah, it's and energy is the first thing that you need for pretty much everything you build, make, deliver, transport, whatever. So that's a good thing. But no one's I'm surprised no one is like shouting that at the rooftops, because in fact right now I'm paying about the same for gas in the summer during the peak summer months on a more expensive blend than I paid this last winter. I think prices have almost not changed since winter for gasoline, which is pretty amazing, because usually there's definitely a big summer jump. Think about was it 2 years ago when we were paying over $4 a gallon for gas in Minnesota, which is unheard of. In the Midwest, a lot of places in the Midwest seem to have lower gas prices because of lower gas taxes, lower, closer refineries, whatever, because we have a refinery nearby. So we get a little bit of a, just because they don't have to transport as far, we get a little bit lower gas, but still. So that's good that wage gains outpacing inflation. That's a good thing. Now, you're never going to hear anyone with a D in front of their name say anything good about it, but I just thought it was fascinating. Also, a man in Texas has been arrested for threats to the President of the United States. Police in San Antonio arrested a Texas man Thursday night after he allegedly threatened to end President Donald Trump's presidency through bullets. The alleged threat was made in a Facebook post where the man reportedly wrote, "I won't miss." Well, you'll be missing your family for a while because you're in jail, bitch. Anyway, San Antonio police officers arrested 52-year-old Robert Herrera for threatening to end, I'm just changing the words, President Trump via Facebook post. The threat happened 3 days before the first anniversary of the attack that nearly took the then presidential candidate's life. "I won't miss," Herrera wrote on Facebook in response to an article posted by San Antonio news outlet coverage of the president's planned trip to Texas Hill Country. The Attorney General's Office for the Western District of Texas reported on Friday. Herrera's post included a photo of President Trump surrounded by Secret Service agents after the shooting that struck Trump on July 13, 2024. So FTG, that guy can, he has some splaining to do. Let's put it that way. He's got some splaining to do. Also in the news, the court has rejected a plea deal for 9/11 mastermind and 2 accomplices. Here's the summary. What happened? A federal appeals court in Washington, D.C. overturned a plea deal for 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. This is still going. This is 24 years ago. Why is this even, what is going on here? Overturned a plea deal for 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 2 co-defendants, halting efforts to conclude the long-running legal case. Long-running, that's quite the understatement. The decision was issued Friday at the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. Key quote: "The families and the American people deserve an opportunity to see military commission trials carried out," wrote Judges Patricia Millett and Naomi Rao in a majority opinion. "The ruling delays the sentencing and keeps the death penalty as possible outcome for the 3 terrorists." Okay, I get that they want to get it right. And what happened to speedy trial? The U.S. Federal Appeals Court upheld. I mean, they've been talking about dragging something out. Oh, here we go. Listen to this. Hi, Darren Root, by the way, and Jethro Hetero. The U.S. Federal Appeals Court upheld former Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's decision to reject the plea agreements that would have barred 9/11 terror mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and the 2 co-defendants from being sentenced to capital punishment in exchange for 3 pleading guilty to their crimes. Oh, I see what they did here. I'm just wondering, how has this lasted this long? I mean, talk about dragging something out. So now that they could end up getting that. I'm surprised. I mean, it's 25 years ago. I'm surprised one of them hasn't died of old age by now. Holy shit. So anyway, that's crazy. You can read the rest of the article yourself. It's there. It'll be in the links today. Wow. Other things happening. Disneyland is trending. Why? Well, J.D. Vance went to Disneyland, right? With his kid, took his kids to Disneyland. And as expected, some of the meathead, whatever, fucktards decided that he should be heckled at Disneyland with his children. And so here's one of the examples. Apparently, they say, this is described as, wow, a Karen Disney adult screamed that she supports illegal immigrants at J.D. Vance while he was at Disneyland with his kids. Biden and Kamala voters are weird. Why are you heckling someone and his kids at Disneyland? Here. I don't see it yet.
Mr. Vice President, we support immigrants. We support America. We support immigrants. We support America.
We support immigrants. We support America. Yeah, we support immigrants. I love immigrants. Legal immigrants are fucking awesome. Border crossers that we can't vet, I'm not so sure about. But whatever.
I thought California was violent.
Oh, Lord. Oh, they're at Disneyland. So they're out in Cali. Okay. Well, okay. Whatever. But anyway, and then somebody, that called to action. Where is that stupid post? this is the alpha male that MAGA keeps telling us about. Really? Apparently, one of his kid wandered off and he ran to go get him. And so some of these people are, this is Harry Sisson, by the way. Harry, you know who Harry Sisson is? He's that little twerp, that TikTok twerp that, whatever. He's whatever. So, and people are saying, oh, this will end JD's career because his son ran off. I don't even know what this means. This alpha male MAGA keeps telling us about. Really? Harry, you should probably shut your pie hole or your Twitter fingers, whatever. Hate to break it to you, but a loving father playing with his kids at Disneyland is as alpha as it gets. Yeah. So anyway, come on, man. JD just wants to enjoy Disneyland with his family before you burn that down too. Yeah, we'll talk about burning in a minute. Anyway, so that's trending for whatever reason. Also, Tucker Carlson trending. I haven't watched any of this. Apparently, Tucker Carlson did a interview with Charlie Kirk that people are going wild about, and he was also made a speech at CPAC or not Turning Point USA that people are talking about. Here's one of the clips where it says this is one of the most important parts of Tucker Carlson's speech, and it got overlooked. Americans can't afford to buy a home. Tucker says it's a national emergency. At some point, the basic economics really matter. Yeah, this is probably important. Let's see here.
At some point, the basic economics really matter, and they matter because not that it's bad that rich people are getting richer, it's bad that everyone else is getting poorer.
Are we though?
And it's especially bad the young people can't afford homes.
That
is
a
bad very
thing.
Precise
Although,
point on this.
That's interesting.
If you want them,
that's interesting. Now, when they say young people, I mean, we didn't buy our first home till we were around 30. Yeah, we were both 30, I think, we bought our first home. And my daughter and her husband just bought their first home. And interesting is my daughter and her husband, they're a single income family. She's a stay-at-home mom. They just bought their first home. Now, they went farther out than we did and found a home that was in their range, right? But so I obviously this is anecdotal. And my son and his wife bought their first home this year. Now their situation is very different. Both of them are brilliant, make a lot of money and whatever. They make much higher than your average American. So their situation is completely different. But even with my daughter and her husband, they're not rich yet. Someday maybe. But they're not. But they bought their first home. I'm watching a lot of my son's friends have bought homes in various parts of the country, and I'm not sure. So but then I see TikToks of some guy saying, "Oh, we can't buy homes because you boomers fucked everything up for us." Well, no, okay, a lot of blame. But so anyway, I find this interesting. As I look at both my son's friends and my daughter's friends, all around that 28 to 30 year old range, and so many of them are buying homes. I'm impressed by it because I'm like, oh, cool. They're all of my kids' friends are growing up too, and not all of them own homes, but it's just I'm like, well, somehow they're making it. But maybe my sons and daughters' friends are exceptional. I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. But anyway,
measure of how your economy is doing. I personally favor eliminating GDP as a measure. I don't even know what that is. It's clearly not relevant. They tell me Japan has a stagnant GDP. Have you been to Tokyo? It's the single most radicalizing experience you'll ever have because it's just so nice. You lost the war? Really? Can we lose a war and wind up like this? GDP. No. I don't know what even that is. The total economic.
Yeah, Tokyo, Japan in general, they're actually losing population. Everyone's alone. Nobody has kids. It's weird. I mean, they're a negative population growth right now. So I can understand why their GDP might be stagnant too, because they just don't have people, and also they don't have immigrants that much either. They frown on immigrants or whatever.
Big activity. Oh, no. My measure is really simple. I got a bunch of kids. Can they afford houses with full-time jobs at like 27, 28? And the answer is no way. And the answer is that 35-year-olds with really good jobs can't afford a house unless they...
You know, the other part, too, is a lot of times I watch these TikToks of guys saying, well, we can't afford the... on this, you know, they always go with minimum wage. First of all, I don't know anybody who makes minimum wage. Anecdote. People, who's paying minimum wage? Who is paying minimum wage in America? When I see, you know, the Kentucky Fried Chicken down the street, starting people at $17 an hour when the minimum wage in theory is $7.25, but they're starting $10 above minimum wage at Kentucky Fried Chicken to work a fryer. Okay. So who's working minimum wage? And also, why do they always say, well, a person making this much money can't buy the average home? Who buys the average home for their first home? We bought a well below average home for our first home, lived in it a few years, and then sold later and got more of an average home. Who buys an average home for their first home? That maybe that's the problem. Maybe the expectations are higher. I don't know. You know, oh, you want to do better than your parents? Well, I consider both my kids doing better than their parents. You know, and we're in our third home. But they're so I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. I know there's a crisis. A lot of cities, man. Housing prices have gone insane, and that's part of the reason. Like my son and my daughter and my son-in-law, they moved farther away from the city, and they commute and they like it. They love where they live. Very happy. They got a very good sized home, enough to raise their two daughters and maybe one or two more. They keep talking about it, and good for them. But they didn't buy the average home. They bought a home that was below average. Did some work on it, and it's a bigger house, but it's out in a little farther away because that's what they can afford and that's what they like. They like the town they live in. So I don't know. So yeah, no, who's buying the average home first anyway?
Stretch and go deep into debt. And I just think that's a total disaster. That's a complete disaster. Why? Two reasons. One, if people don't own things, they don't feel ownership of the country they're in. And the country gets super volatile because people feel like they've got nothing to lose. When you have a lawn, trust me, you're thinking long term. Second, it's really hard to have a family without a house.
I understand his points
here. It's like super fun to live in an apartment if, there's like a bar downstairs, you're in a cool neighborhood. I'm in East Village. It's so cool. Try to have 3 kids. You're not going to have 3 kids there. You can't. Nobody wants to raise their kids in that neighborhood. Nobody wants to raise their kids in an apartment. People do it because they have to. Nobody wants.
Well, and I think this is Carlson's New York sensibility versus Midwest sensibility, because no one in the Midwest would want to live in the East Village, first of all, to raise kids. And why would you? Why would you even want to live anywhere near New York City? So the other part, I'd much rather move to, a Midwest city in the suburbs somewhere, or, but whatever. So that's weird. Just nobody wants to raise a kid in the East Village.
Wants to. People want a little house, not some McMansion, just a little normal house. That is the actual American dream. And that is what is totally unattainable for young people. And so the only young people in general that you will ever meet who have houses are young people whose parents help them. And God bless their parents. That's a perfectly great thing to do for your kids. But most
and that was guess what? I don't know, maybe Tucker. Well, here's the problem. Tucker Carlson grew up super rich. So I can understand where he might not understand this. However, that is not new. Let me repeat that for Tucker Carlson. That is not new. That was common in the 90s when we bought our first house. That was common in the 80s when my cousin bought his first house. Or they got FHA loans, which put very little down. Okay, so I'm not sure what he means here. That's kind of one of those things. My eldest daughter is almost 22, lives in upstate New York, and pays insane taxes to send to New York City. it's horrendous. Yeah, no, it's that taxes. I wouldn't want to grow. It'd be tough to live in New York. You have to make a ton of money anyway.
People's parents can't afford to do that because they're already in debt from their pointless college degree. So that is a national emergency. One of the reasons it's happening is because
I get his point here, but again, and maybe he's right. Maybe it is a crisis. People need to be able to buy homes, and unfortunately, too, one of the problems is a lot of corporations are buying up homes. A lot of investors are buying up homes because it was the cool thing to invest in. Don't worry, don't worry, Tucker. In a couple of years, we're going to have another housing crisis where they're just going to start abandoning these houses, and there'll be a lot of banco and shit to buy. And that's what we did. We waited. We got rid of our house, rented for about a year until, and we hit that housing boom and hit the dip a little bit and bought another house from a bank and got a nice house out of it. Unfortunately, it has a pool. So right now we're trying to sell a pool. It comes with a house. Anyway, but I'm not, it's the cycles I've watched, having been in mortgage business and real estate related businesses. I know how the cycle works, but again, I'm trying to understand, maybe it's because I live in the Midwest, but again, like when I look at my son, my daughter, their friends, all of them buying homes, in different parts of the country. One of my son's friends lives in the Chicagoland area. Bought a house. One of my son's friends lives in Tampa, Florida. Bought a house. My son, his wife, bought a house. My daughter, her husband bought a house. Two of her friends both own houses. Another one owns a house. So I'm just trying to, maybe people are figuring it out or finding ways to do it. Maybe they're finding ways to live within their means and still do it. I don't know. But I know that there is a crisis in many cities. Like, for example, Denver, the housing prices are ridiculous. In the Twin Cities, where I live, especially if you're in the first few ring suburbs, it's kind of crazy because we're looking at trying to downsize. And it's like, oh, my God, if we downsize, we're going to be paying the same thing we're doing now. It's not really downsizing our payments. But part of that is the current mortgage rates are different because we have a really low mortgage rate. So I don't know. But people are figuring it out somehow. Some are, at least. And I'm just, and maybe I'm not seeing it.
Normal people with normal.
Yeah, millions of illegals have taken up housing. Well, yeah, that's a lot of that is the, corporate housing or, but the housing that the illegal aliens are taking up are often converted hotels, or they're doing weird things for that. But like, if you look at that town in Ohio where they were talking about the Haitians, a lot of the housing in there being paid for by government entities, completely changing the price point of rent in that town. And so the people in that town are complaining because, they're these agencies that are paying for their rent raises the prices of everybody else's. So that doesn't help in certain places. So that's interesting.
Jobs no longer believe they can win in this system and that all the money is going to the worst people. And no one even stops to ask what the hell is going on. What I'm saying is that our leadership class should say something about it and should assign a moral value to it. And if you're getting rich by loaning money to people at incredibly high interest rates.
I do chuckle at the incredibly high interest rates, though, too. And look, there are some who are way above market. But when I look at the interest rates now, compared to when we bought our first house, compared to when we bought our second house, and compared to this house, and the last time we refinanced this house at a much lower rate, where they were ridiculously low. But when I was in the mortgage business, back when we bought our second house, a low rate, when I first got in the mortgage business, a low mortgage rate was around 7%. We're like 7%. Oh man, these rates coming down. They're way down, right? I was like excited to get someone a 7% loan. If I could get them under 7%, woo, man, we were making deals, right? But then, in the last 10 years, there's times you get a loan for 2.75%. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. So rates are relative to what's been happening around the era you're in. You know, if you think about in the 80s, early 80s, there were some mortgage rates were up to 18%. You know, so again, it's people deal with what they have and what they're working with, and they figure it out. But it's very hard for a lot of people. It's hard to save money, especially the people who got those useless degrees. You know, got a degree in gender studies or got a degree in the history of marmosets. If your degree's in the history of marmosets, you're pretty limited in what your job can be. Because they told you, it doesn't matter what your degree is, you just got to get a degree. Yeah, that's not working out so well for a lot of people, unfortunately. But anyway.
That's something you're going to have to talk to God about. That is not good. That is not virtuous. That's disgusting.
And I'm trying to figure out
the fact that nobody
what his solution
feels
is
free
here.
to say that. Nobody feels like you can just say like 30% on a credit card? Why is anybody paying a credit card bill? Because they always say, like, if the very rich, if you borrow enough from a bank.
Yeah, the credit cards are out of hand. I'm going to be honest with you.
You're kind of in charge of the bank because they need you to pay them back. So they're totally happy to negotiate terms with you. But if you borrow a little bit from the bank, they'll just take your house away. So what if people got together and just decided, wait a second, 30% interest is a lot.
But that's not on your house. That's on a credit card. That's not on your house yet. Good morning, Reaction Puerto Rico. All right, enough of Tucker. Apparently, his talk at Turning Point USA was very interesting. But let's see. Did you hear Tucker said here? We have like 60 million illegal aliens in the country. The country bears no resemblance to the country I grew up in, and it's not better, it's worse. 60 million illegals? That's possible, maybe. I don't know. I'm not convinced. Ever since the 80s, they've always said that the number of illegals is around 20 million, and they've always used that same number over and over. And it depends on who you ask, though. If you ask some, they'll say 20 million. Some said 40 million. But it's always been that same number. Now, do illegal aliens come and go? That may be. Many are seasonal, and they come during the growing season, the farming season, whatever. And so I don't know. But also, he did have an interview, I believe, with Charlie Kirk that was very interesting. So you can look for it in the links. I'm not going to talk about this anymore. Let's move on because I really want to get to Gavin Newsom. Epstein's still trending, and what is Donald Trump doing? This post he did on Truth Social and X is really strange. He's really doubling down on let's stop talking about Epstein. I got a feeling that this is so big that they really don't want people to talk about it. But no one's going to stop talking about it now that he is doing this, and all the people on the left are saying, "Oh, well, that's because Donald Trump was best friends with Epstein," completely disregarding the fact that he kicked Epstein to the curb and was the only person who helped the victims' lawyers with this and gave depositions. They always forget that part. But they do remember that they have lots of pictures of him with Epstein when he hung out with Epstein. But Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago after he found out that the guy was saying some inappropriate shit to one of the other club members' younger daughters. And he said, "You're gone," and that ended the relationship. And then he testified against him. But he puts this post, and I'm just going to read it because I'm dumbfounded by this. What's going on with my boys, and in some cases gals? They're all going after Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's doing a fantastic job. We're on one team, MAGA, and I don't like what's happening. We have a perfect administration. Well, it's not perfect, but it's decent. It's good. It's better than what it would have been under Chameleon. The talk of the world, and selfish people are trying to hurt it all over a guy who never dies, Jeffrey Epstein. It's not going to die. It's just there was too much noise made about everything else about Epstein, and now all of a sudden none of it exists. That's why. 4 years. It's Epstein over and over again. Why are we giving publicity to files written by Obama, crooked Hillary, Comey, Brennan, and losers and criminals of the Biden administration who conned the world with Russia hoax, 51 intelligence agents, laptop from hell, and more? They created the Epstein files just like they created the fake Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier. No. What is he doing here? Is he saying this is just a conspiracy? That's a fake conspiracy at that? Look, what was he being charged with? Why is Ghislaine Maxwell in jail? What did they find at the island? What did they find in his apartment? What did they find in his compound in New Mexico? They had thousands and thousands of files and all this other shit. Come on, Donald, what are you doing? Just like they created the Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me, and now my so-called friends are playing right into their hands. Why didn't these radical left lunatics release the Epstein files? If there was anything in there that could have hurt the MAGA movement, why didn't they use it? Why they didn't? They haven't even given up on the JFK Kennedy or Martin Luther King files, no matter how much success we have securing the border, deporting criminals, fixing the economy, energy dominance, a safer world where Iran will not have nuclear weapons. It's never enough for some people. We are about to achieve more in 6 months than any other administration achieved in over 100 years. And we have so much more to do. We are saving our country and making America great again, which will continue to be our complete priority. The left is imploding. Kash Patel and the FBI must be focused on investigating voter fraud, political corruption, Act Blue, the rigged and stolen election of 2020. Wait a minute. There's some news there. Wait, what? Wait, I just glazed over that. Act Blue? They're investigating Act Blue? It's about damn time. Or maybe they have been. The arresting of thugs and criminals instead of spending month after month looking at nothing but the same old radical left-inspired documents on Jeffrey Epstein. No, everyone wants to know about this. And it's not the left who was pushing this. And in fact, you pushed it. You said that you were thinking about releasing it. The only thing your caveat was that with all the names on there, that some of them may not have done anything wrong and they got to be very careful. But what? Let Pam Bondi do her job. She's great. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they tried to do the same thing in 2024. That's what she's looking at as AG and much more. 1 year ago, our country was dead, and now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. Let's keep it that way and not waste time and energy on Jeffrey Epstein, somebody that nobody cares about. Thanks for your attention to this matter. No, that just fuels the fire, and it makes me wonder. Ooh, it makes me wonder. I've never necessarily believed in the 3D chess thing. I mean, sometimes he does things clearly to get attention and then idiots overstep, right? Is he just trying to get Democrats to jump on this? And because a lot of them are now, not necessarily Democratic lawmakers, although there are a few. But is he just trying to get Democrats to jump on this and force them to destroy some of their donor base with this? You know what I mean? I don't get this. Hell, Darren Root, did I say hi to you? If I didn't, hello. Here's breaking. Steve Bannon says the GOP could lose 35 to 40 House seats if they don't fully release the Epstein files. Alan West says, I'm sorry, but if you vote for Democrats this midterm because if Trump didn't release the Epstein files, well, Democrats had them for 4 years and didn't release them, you're absolutely retarded. Oh, the conservative influencers who are saying things like this should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. As far as I'm concerned, they're just as good as the rhinos. The future of our entire country is at stake. Wake up, y'all, are playing into the liberals' hands. Yeah, maybe. But I don't understand what Trump's doing with that. I don't understand what Trump's doing that. Alan West's post is right here. The government literally combined two separate clips together, edited out the murder of Jeffrey Epstein using Adobe Premiere Pro, and tried to pass that low-rent psyops off as proof of self-deletion. Yeah, I haven't seen that. I have no interest in looking at it. On Fox News Sunday, Mark, what? This is a good point. Let's listen to this. Listen to this.
some damage from this? That to me is the reality here.
91 indictments, the Mueller probe, 2 impeachments, civil suits to bankrupt him, but the Biden people had the Epstein files with Trump's name in it, and they didn't use it. Give me a break.
I want to.
Good point. Why, if there's something about Trump in there that was damning and killing his, presidency, you don't think the Biden administration would have released it? They've done everything they could to destroy Trump, and they wouldn't use this. If he's in there, there must be a lot more powerful people than Donald Trump that would destroy the Democrats even more in it. So, a couple things. So you can read this article. I'm not going to do it because it basically rehashes his Truth Social post. But Trump backs Bondi amid criticism over handling the Epstein files. Let Pam do her job. We just read that. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez apparently is facing a backlash over defamatory Trump Epstein post. Someone says sue her to oblivion. So she wrote, wow, who would have thought that electing a rapist would have complicated the release of the Epstein files? I said that word, didn't I? Probably not supposed to say that word on YouTube, but I did. New York Democrat Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is under fire after calling President Donald Trump what he said in that post, in a Friday X post, prompting widespread accusation of defamation and calls for a lawsuit. Now, a lot of people keep using this phrase, well, he's an adjudicated arpist, right? Except... no, see, he is adjudicated to have committed defamation. Now, the judge in that case, even though the jury said that he didn't do what they said, and it was an assault, the judge claimed that he did, but that was because that's what the judge directed. They don't have any case on this E. Jean Carroll thing. And I swear, if that went to an actual trial, there were so many procedure issues in that case that probably shouldn't have happened, that it should be overturned, although the first appeals court upheld it. But many pointed out that Trump was never found liable for that action in the civil case brought by E. Jean Carroll. A New York jury found that Trump liable for sexual abuse and defamation, but not the R word, a key legal distinction that critics say Ocasio-Cortez deliberately ignored. Even under the ridiculously lenient standards of New York Times versus Sullivan, you've managed to incur defamation liability. Wow, Senator Mike Lee wrote in an X referring to the landmark libel case that established a high bar for defamation claims against public figures. George Stephanopoulos might advise you to take down this tweet. Another user wrote, alluding that ABC News hosts' own legal troubles have over similar remarks about Trump. So he probably won't go after ASC, but who knows? Maybe he will. He's kind of lawyer happy. And then also there's another article, a op-ed by Miranda Devine, Epstein drama is an unnecessary distraction for Trump administration and plays into the hands of malign Dems. And that is true. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. But it's just weird, and something about that case has much larger implications, and that's why they're not releasing the files. But it's not going away. What another trending topic? Epstein cover-up. Now, someone here says, you got to agree with Catturn here. What is Catturn saying? If you know who the pedo-rapists are who were involved on Epstein's Island, and you hide that info because they're famous actors or influential politicians, you're just as guilty as they are and just as scummy as they are. Oh, my gosh. Catturn with the rare rebuke of the Trump administration. He is as loyal as they get. So... and let's see, Elon Musk, seriously, he said Epstein a half dozen times while telling everyone to stop talking about Epstein. Just release the files as promised. Yeah. So, anyway, we need to release the list. There is no list. The list is on my desk. The list is fake and made up by Obama. That's kind of the evolution of it, isn't it? And again, my guess is the information in them files could topple more than one government and maybe some serious donors to the DNC and RNC. I don't know. It's fucked up. All right. Enough about that. And then it says Maxwell is trending again. Do you believe Epstein committed suicide? Maxwell says, no, I don't believe he was murdered. She thought he was murdered. That was an interview. When was this interview?
You believe that he committed suicide? Because many don't.
No, he didn't. I don't believe he did.
Again, here's...
I believe that he was murdered.
Do you believe...
Okay, well, unfortunately, there's no evidence. Ghislaine Maxwell says she's prepared to testify before Congress and expose the truth behind Jeffrey Epstein's secret client list. As the only person ever jailed in connection with Epstein's crime, she claims she's ready to tell the American people what really happened. Maxwell says she would welcome the opportunity to speak under oath and reveal the true story. Hey, bring her to Congress, baby. Bring her to Congress. Now, it's interesting because another one of these left-wing guys posted that, well, first of all, Dirty Q-Tip, what's Dirty Q-Tip's name? Why am I blanking on his name? Anyway, the congressman from Maryland, Jamie Raskin, put up a post, and I can't find it anymore, put up a post saying, we demand that there be a congressional hearing on the relationship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Anything related to Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Isn't that interesting that he wants a very narrow probe of what the relationship between Donald Trump and Jamie Raskin, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Not a full-blown investigation into the entire thing. He wants to narrow it down just to Donald Trump. That ain't going to work. That is not going to work. And if they have congressional hearings and have Ghislaine Maxwell testify, I think that would be huge. But, again, it plays with fire. It plays with government officials, which I don't care. If it takes down government officials, it takes down celebrities, it takes down mega billionaires, it takes down donors, it takes down whatever. I don't care. Anyone who abused underage kids, girls, whatever, and not kids. And again, these are, the word is it pederast when they're a certain age, whatever, but they're underage, trafficked girls. I don't care who the fuck goes to jail. If it took down half of Congress, hey, great. Then we'd have to reelect half of Congress. Oh well. It's just weird. All right. Let's talk about Gavin Newsom because that's the picture in the thumbnail. So, they had those big fires in Malibu and they had the big fires in Hawaii and they had the disasters here and there and whatnot. But Malibu is kind of the focus because, when those fires at Pacific Palisades in Malibu, there in California. And we were talking about how, oh my God, how are those people even going to rebuild? Because now the way California is, those houses were probably grandfathered into all these different building ordinances. It's going to cost billions and billions of dollars. They're not going to get the help they need. And the places along the coast, they're going to have to put in, super duper, new septic systems and stuff. And it's going to be a disaster for all these people. And some were saying at the time, oh, well, gee, wouldn't these be the perfect opportunity for California to work on one of those, what do they call it, smart cities? What do they call it? There's a name for it, smart cities, whatever the, and rebuild it the way California wants to build it, not the way it was there before. And the Democrats like, oh no, they're not going to do that. They're going to let people rebuild 15-minute cities. Thank you, Avocado Stiali. And it was, we're going to let the people rebuild their homes, blah, blah, blah. Well, Gavin Newsom has introduced a new plan for multifamily low-income housing in the wake of the LA fires. As people in Los Angeles area struggle to rebuild their homes, California Governor Gavin Newsom has announced a $101 million in new funding for, quote, multifamily low-income housing in the area for a more, quote, equitable, what do you do when you hear the word equity? Run. And resilient Los Angeles, with many red flags all over it. Back in January, comedian Adam Carolla went viral over predictions he made about what nightmare it would be to rebuild after the fires in the due to the miles of progressive red tape that have grown in the state over the years. Lots of people speculated that the fires would be used for a government land grab. Oh, really? If Newsom wants that speculation to grow, by the way, this is the way to do it. And here's his post. With California HCD, we're delivering $101 million to help rapidly rebuild affordable multifamily rental housing for Angelinos displaced by the January wildfires. We're ensuring that everyone affected by this tragedy has a safe and affordable place to come home to. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Translation. Here's the English translation from someone from the Homan David Hemmett, MD, PhD. Here's a translation of what Gavin Newsom said. After the fires I'm in large part responsible for, I'm giving the state agency a lot of taxpayer money we don't have to build taxpayer-funded affordable renting housing projects in the fire zones. Yeah, that's exactly what it means. That's exactly what it really means. So, let's see. Beej Wellmore commented Hunter. Okay. The state's oleaginous, whatever that means, chief executive, delivered a coup de grace to former renters and landlords yesterday. In a self-congratulatory moment, Newsom grandly announced his intentions to bring multifamily low-income housing developments to Pacific Palisades, Eaton, and Aldina, creating a more resilient and, key word here, equitable Los Angeles. Quote, 6 months after the devastating Palisades and Eaton fires, California Governor Gavin Newsom unveiled $101 million in funding Tuesday for multifamily low-income housing development that will contribute to a more equitable and resilient Los Angeles. The priority is for geographic proximity to the fire perimeters of the Eaton, Hughes, and Palisades fires. Earlier this year, the Center Square broke news that California state law and local resident Los Angeles broke that California state law and a local Los Angeles ordinance require fire-restored rent-protected housing, which includes all apartments in the city built before October 1978 be replaced with low-income housing. Because the affordability requirements use county-level income data, not more local incomes, definition for low and very low-income housing reflect much lower incomes than the norm for the affluent Palisades community. So they're going to move low-income housing that didn't meet the standard of the area, that's even lower-income housing, into Pacific Palisades. Thousands of families from Pacific Palisades to Altadena to Malibu are still displaced, and we owe them help, said Newsom in a statement. The funding we're announcing today will accelerate the development of affordable multifamily rental housing so that those rebuilding their lives after this tragedy have access to safe, affordable place to come home to. Now, I understand the impetus of this. So because there is some, what you would call for that area, low income housing, and they want to be able to rebuild housing that those people that live there could still afford, right? But it sounds like they're kind of going projects on us. You know what I mean? It just sounds so California to me. Hello. Oh, by the way, thank you, Pope Tire, for dropping a small bullet plus a little in the tip jar, and you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor today.
The new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor,
which was I have to kind of establish. Tire says, for the Jean Carroll shit, New York City rewrote a law just so they could prosecute Trump on it, but it was used against one of the proponents, and now they are calling it unconstitutional and wrong. You can't make this shit up. Fuck New York City lawmakers. Yeah, that's a good one. Hello, Shiagrath, by the way. Yeah, no, and that's another thing that it's going to be a problem for that case at some point. They rewrote laws specifically to get one person, and it's not right. Anyway, back to this. So it's getting plenty of attention on X, the app formerly known as Twitter, as far as this housing thing. So the truth is coming out. Gavin Newsom, who has a lot of blame for the Southern California fires, is basically saying he's going to steal taxpayer money to build ghettos that people he displaced can rent. It's an obvious money grab, folks. Sad this guy's got to go. Well, yeah, sort of. I mean, yeah. Somebody says, I wanted to think it was all a conspiracy, but here we go. That single-family home you had in Palisades is now an apartment building you make too much money to qualify to live in. Mark this post. Plus, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and Governor Newsom need to stop their stupid, pointless war on ICE and the Trump administration and focus on helping people rebuild their homes. You know, we'll see. We'll watch as this develops, but that's how that goes. Also, Gavin Newsom is also in the news because apparently corporate donors have been giving big money to a Newsom family charity. Then the governor took their side on a state issue. Oh, did he take a bribe? Well, I wouldn't call it a bribe. I won't call it a bribe yet. California Governor Gavin Newsom doesn't typically get involved in disputes between rival Native American tribes. That changed last year when Newsom used his office to try to block a small tribe from opening a casino in Northern California. In August 2024, Newsom's office sent a letter on his behalf to the Biden Interior Department urging it reject a $700 million proposed casino project north of San Francisco by the Khoi Nation, a tribe with fewer than 100 members. That's interesting because the Mystic Lake Casino in the Twin Cities is a very small tribe, and they have a multi-billion-dollar casino, and basically all of them live off the casino with millions and millions of dollars because there's so few of them. But anyway, let me go back to this. But the Biden administration approved the project anyway. So in May, Newsom sued the Trump administration. Wait, what? The Biden administration approved the project. So in May, Newsom sued the Trump administration in a last-ditch effort to block the Khoi Nation's casino. Now, why would they block a casino on land that they haven't stolen yet? That's amazing. Should Newsom get his way, it would be a major win for Federated Indians of Grayton Rancheria, a major California political donor, which operates its own gambling compound just 15 miles away from its rival's proposed site, which broke ground on a $1 billion expansion in 2023. So the other casino that's already there is doing a $1 billion expansion, and they don't want a competition 15 miles down the road. Let me guess. The Khoi Nation casino is going to be closer to San Francisco than the other one. Let's just see. So, a little-known California government disclosure database may shed light on why Newsom took Grayton Rancheria's side in the high-stakes dispute. In April 2024, a few months before Newsom sent his letter to the Biden Interior Department, the Democratic governor requested Grayton Rancheria to contribute $500,000 to his wife's charity, the California Partners Project. And in April 2025, 1 month before Newsom filed his lawsuit against the Trump administration, he again asked Grayton Rancheria to contribute another $500,000 to his wife's charity. The tribe cut those checks specifically at Newsom's request, according to California's behested payments database, which discloses whatever state elected officials request others to make donations on their behalf. Oh, how convenient. Hello, Selected Boy. Yeah, boy. So, while the data doesn't show an explicit quid pro quo between Newsom and Grayton Rancheria, several ethics experts told the Washington Free Beacon that Newsom's charitable solicitations from the tribe to his wife's charity just before he used the powers of his office to try to block its rival from opening a competing casino raises major red flags. Oh, you think? It's all about the timing. Any reasonably objective person would conclude this looks horrible, said Kendra Arnold, the executive director at the Foundation for Accountability and Civics Trust watchdog group. It's hardly the only time Newsom has taken action to benefit donors just after he secured their contributions to charities connected with him and his wife, according to the Free Beacon Review of California Fair Political Practices Commission's behested payments database. Newsom's appointee to head that commission, Adam E. Silver, said in November the state's disclosures behested payments because they're considered a payment to influence that could impact governmental decisions. Like writing a letter to the Interior Department to stop your rival's casino. Great Rancheria has fiercely opposed the Coy Nation's proposed project on the grounds it lacks ancestral ties to the land, an argument Newsom repeated verbatim in his written appeal to the Biden administration. The Coy Nation, however, says its roots to the land date back 3,000 years and said Newsom's opposition to its proposed casino reflects a fundamental misunderstanding of federal law. Great Rancheria, the small tribe, says, is just trying to stave off economic competition to its existing casino. Newsom has not behested any charitable contributions from the Coy Nation. And so it goes on and on. Gee, here's a question for the chat. Should I do a poll? Let's do a poll. Let's do a poll. Is Gavin Newsom, if I could spell Newsom, Jesus, I'm having trouble typing. Is Gavin Newsom a scumbag? There you go. There's our poll question for today. Holy shit. Anyway, we can get rid of the link, right? You've all shared the stream. All right, is Gavin Newsom a scumbag? All right, let's break down some other news here. Trump wants to crack down on the anti-ICE rioters with a new directive. President says he's giving total authorization for ICE to protect itself, just like they protect the public. President Donald Trump on Friday night ordered officials to crack down on anti-ICE rioters, telling officials to use whatever means necessary to arrest those committing crimes. Agents for U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, have been targeted by anti-ICE activists in blue cities across the nation, most notably Los Angeles. Trump on Friday said he saw thugs violently throwing rocks and bricks at ICE officers in Texas and called on Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and Border Czar Tom Homan to tackle the issue, giving them full authority. So there's a Truth Social post. So there are going to be people on the left who say, oh my God, he's being a Nazi, he's being an authoritarian, fascist, and he's not going to let people do free speech. Yeah, free speech isn't throwing bricks at ICE officers or shooting them or ambushing them with 11 people trying to shoot them, outside their offices. So there's a fine line between protesting and being assholes and terrorists, whatever. So, I think they've always had a directive to help them or to preserve themselves. Speaking of which, this is one of those. Never mind. Hang on. Let me go back here. Copy. Let's see if this is archived yet. Oh God, I hate if these I'm not a robot things. Fire hydrants 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There, that's an easy one. It is not archived. Anyway, there's an article in Front Page Magazine about these, the violence that is being heaped upon ICE agents. Also, though, at one of these protests, a video appears to show a New Jersey woman plow through anti-ICE protesters, injuring 3, according to police. A video posted on Facebook appears to show a woman plow through anti-ICE protesters Saturday in New Jersey, injuring 3, and she's now facing charges. The video shows a gray SUV slowly approach a crowd of protesters marching against ICE raids. When one protester approaches the driver, the woman behind the wheel, Linda Rogland, then begins to proceed, and the protesters falls to the ground while others gather around to stop the car. Rogland then rolls up her window and drives through the crowd and leaves the scene. Look, I'm going to guess that them walking up to the car was not all they were doing. They were probably screaming and yelling at her and probably scaring the crap out of her. Rogland has been charged with careless driving, reckless driving, and leaving a scene of an accident, and 4 counts of assault with a car resulting in bodily injury, according to the New York Post. Several protesters suffered injuries, and one was taken to the hospital. I kind of like the Florida law. I'm not going to show the video because it's, probably not YouTube friendly, but that is called Play Stupid Games, Win Stupid Prizes. Congratulations. You are the next contestant on got my ankle broken by a 16-inch tire. Let's see. So, oh my gosh, meet the lawyer defending the Boulder terrorist family from deportation. A lawyer representing the family of a Boulder, Colorado firebomber in their deportation case has a long history of defending anti-Israel radicals, including a Yale Law School scholar who moonlit as a member of the U.S.-sanctioned terrorist fundraising organization, and a Brown University faculty member who attended slain Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah's funeral. After Mohammed Solomon threw a Molotov cocktail at a group supporting Israel hostages, the Trump administration moved to deport the Egyptian national's wife, Hayam El Gamal, and 5 children who overstayed their visas. Well, they're trying to stop from deporting people who overstayed their visas? I thought you wanted people to do that. Anyway, Eric Lee was one of the 4 lawyers who came to their defense, arguing that their removal was reminiscent of Nazi Germany. God, they will use that language for everything. This guy tried to firebomb an Israel pro-Israel something, and the family has overstayed their visas. How is deporting someone for overstaying their visas Nazi Germany? Here's I guess the first question I would ask is, in Nazi Germany, when they began rounding up, Jewish people, were they checking their passports to see if they overstayed visas? I don't. What are you talking about? Oh my God. A judge ruled last week that the deportation proceedings against the family could continue and that they could remain detained. Yeah, they can. That's just plain old U.S. law. If he wouldn't have tried to throw a Molotov cocktail at some people or things or whatever, they never would have realized the family was overstaying their visa. They probably wouldn't even have found him. If they'd have just kept quiet and shut the fuck up, they wouldn't be in this situation. But they overstayed their visas. Time to go home. Sorry, bye, thank you. I don't need to read the rest of this. I don't give a shit about this lawyer. He's some pinhead. Illegal migrant teen charged with fatal Long Island stabbing, arrested at the scene. The 15-year-old illegal immigrant has been arrested and charged with second-degree murder after allegedly stabbing a 32-year-old man to death at a home in Mineola, New York, Nassau County, police said. Officers from the 3rd Precinct responded to a 911 call, stabbing on Roosevelt Place on Friday, according to a statement from Nassau County Police Department squad. Upon arrival, the officers found a 32-year-old male victim with a stab wound. So they're deporting. What are they doing? Look, yes, the illegal immigrant crime reports are sensational. But a lot of people tell you, the illegal immigrants commit less crime than native-born Americans. And that may be true. I know for sure legal immigrants commit fewer crimes than Americans because they don't want to be deported for committing crimes, right? The illegal migrants probably commit a lot more crime than legal migrants just because they're... But here's the thing. Whether they commit more crimes or fewer crimes, they've already committed one crime on the U.S. books, and that is crossing our border illegally. That is a crime. Not despite what some idiots think. Like on Friday, I said there's a lot of people who think that, it's just like getting a traffic ticket. It's just like jaywalking. No, that's a city administrative violation. That's not a crime. A misdemeanor crossing the border is still a crime. It's a crime under U.S. statutes and under the criminal code. It's a crime. It's not a murder. It's not a felony unless you do it twice. If you do it twice, then it's a felony. But crossing a sovereign border without notifying the sovereign is a crime. But then you get these assholes who do more crime, and we don't want them here. So either put them in prison or send them home. One of the two. And the other part of this too, they keep talking about due process. Due process. They're sending people away to due process. And another judge has blocked some of the expedited removals. But due process doesn't mean trial. Due process means you follow the law, the process of the law that is written, right? And so, and also, by the way, deportation under U.S. law is not considered a punishment. It's just considered you're removing and going back. You get to go back home, because due process for crossing our border in an illegal manner would mean you would go. The actual for the crime, because deportation is not considered a punishment, a punishment for a crime. It's just you get sent back. That's, and there is a legal framework which has been written into Congress and passed by law by none other than Bill Clinton, that you can send people back without sending them to court, because if you send them to court, then they're charged with crossing our border illegally, which, if found guilty, means they would spend 6 months in jail and then deportation and maybe a fine too. So if you truly want due process for all these people across the border illegally, well, we might be filling up a lot of jails with them, because that's the punishment for crossing our border illegally. So decide if you want due process or not, because due process means we put a lot more in jail. Now, that'd be tough because there's millions of them. And it would cost a lot of money and, clog up our courts. But the expedited removals, those are the law. That is due process for crossing our border illegally. So there you go. All right. A couple of articles that are in here too. Another illegal. ICE raided a weed farm, as in marijuana, and apparently there was a bunch of minors working there. Some had convictions for attempted, child molestation and grape. So the Democrats are mad that they raided a weed farm. Democrat outrage machine remains in overdrive in the aftermath of an immigration sweep that was conducted at a California marijuana farm last week, where unaccompanied illegal immigrant minors were being exploited for child labor purposes alongside other illegal immigrants, some of whom had criminal convictions. And they're mad. They're mad that they sweeped a farm where they're minors working. And I don't mean like, the diamond mines, although children work in those too. Among the 300 who were arrested is a yet unnamed illegal immigrant whose Customs and Border Patrol agency says was previously convicted of grave offenses, including involving minors. So you can go through that. But they're mad about it. You mean you're mad that you saved exploited minors? Children? You're not doing it for the children? But they were picking strawberries on the weed farm. Yeah, they were picking. That's work the Americans won't do. Oh gosh, Ilhan Omar claims that the U.S. is sending migrants to dungeons. There's a lot. Okay, so I don't know if you heard about this situation in Italy and Spain, where people were washing up on shore, like migrants from Africa were washing up on shore. And, because the proximity of Africa to those places, people on boats and stuff, it's pretty close, right? And, but when that happened, there's people in the United States and a lot of people on TikTok and, the little videos platforms who are saying that, Donald Trump is putting people on planes and throwing them out in the ocean so they float into Spain. What? What? Anyway, so there's all these, the game of telephone. You play the game of telephone to your kid. One kid says something or whatever. Well, that happens all over the internet, and they keep embellishing it now. So now they're saying that Trump administration is throwing people out of planes over the coast of Africa or over the coast of Italy and Spain, right? Because they're claiming that those bodies washing up on those shores are from migrants being deported. Okay, so that's one of the stupid ones. Well, now Ilhan Omar's again. Now she's saying, over the weekend, she claimed that the U.S. was disappearing people and sending them to dungeons around the world. Where's her? Did they have a quote of her saying this? Anyway, the reality is when they come for one of us, they're eventually going to come for all of us, she told a town hall in Nashville on Saturday. Why is she doing a town hall outside of Nashville? She doesn't represent Nashville. Get your ass back to Minnesota. She said, we're seeing people being abducted and sent to dungeons in foreign countries and people disappearing with no accounting for where they've gone. Now, there's little doubt the people in the attendance at the Immigration Customs Enforcement would be addressed at the rally at the Cane Ridge High School in Antioch. Organizers had posted a sign outside the event, ICE not permitted on the premises. Yeah, that'll stop them. Looking at the coverage of the town hall, which was held in Democratic State Representative Justin Jones, it was difficult to believe that reporters had attended the same rally. The Nashville Tennessean portrayed it as a Love Thy Neighbor event that encouraged citizens to talk to each other and reported a wildly different crowd estimated of 500 compared to The Wire's 200. There was no mention of the ICE sign or Omar's inflammatory rhetoric. Well, of course, because they don't want to draw attention to it. But anyway. All right, I wish I had more time for more stuff. There's a few more articles, plus the aggregator in the links today. I'm just going to, I got to shut down though. Hey, I'll be back tomorrow. Oh, I do want to finish with one other thing. Don't close that out yet. I want to play this. Since I haven't seen this, it looks like something heartwarming. Hopefully there's not music in it. If there's music in it, I'll just tell you to watch it yourself.
All right.
So, point of view, your brother comes back from military after going away for 2 years, disguised as an Amazon employee to surprise our grandparents. So this is a video of a guy surprising family. These kind of videos never get old to me.
Go ahead, sign right there.
You can sign.
Mom, sign it.
Mom. Huh?
Can you use your restroom, take it home?
Yo. You mean it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. But then, can you take your dog? Okay.
They all know, and she hasn't figured it out.
You're welcome. What a funny day. Go ahead. Over there.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave this right here.
They don't even notice. That's funny.
You look like Anthony.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good one.
You too. Anytime. This is all my grandkids visiting me.
Hello.
Would you like some chicken soup?
Sure.
Oh
Yeah?
my gosh.
You
really?
Sure.
Okay.
She still doesn't know.
You can keep it. Or you
Thank
can
you.
throw it. You're welcome.
Can I sit it in here?
Oh.
Can I sit it in here?
Yeah, you want to sit in there?
Okay, cool.
Okay, then.
Yeah, you got a mom and dad. Oh, Pepper? Wait, are you taking him?
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. He didn't know either. Oh my gosh, that is so cute. That's so sweet. Those never get old for me. I just the soldiers coming home and different things, and so there you go. So anyway, let's let me get these links in the chat real quick, and then I got to get out of here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. As always, I appreciate everyone who has shared the stream. Thanks to Tyre and AD for the donations today. Greatly appreciated. And do something productive today. Do something cool. And that's all I got to say. Here's the links in the chat. And that's it. I got to go. Thank you. My name's PDawgKnight, and I am out of here. Bye. Bye. Click the link, Marty. There you go. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.